So let me show you this book, the cover of this book, Animan. This is only one of a few, I don't know exactly how many, I haven't looked at it really that carefully. There are a few essays that are written in short book form by the famous Rabbi Aryeh Kaplan, who died probably 40 some odd years ago. I'm not sure exactly, may have seen it, but I forgot it already. I learned this in the 80s, in the 1980s, that I started to learn this, and I haven't picked it up since, but I was so very incredibly impressed by the ideas, the modernity of the ideas, and the fact that this rabbi wrote in English. So if you listen to the first series, to the first part of the introduction, this man is a person who has a master's degree in physics, and at one time was considered to be one of the real up-and-coming lights in physics, but he chose Torah instead. So here we are over here with the 13 principles. And if you're Jewish, it's possible that if you're listening to this share, you really don't have a tremendous Jewish education. Because unfortunately, while the Jewish people have prospered in this country, Jewish education has been behind for many. And as a result, there are so many people that really don't know these basic ideas. So what's the difference in Judaism, for example, if I say something bold, where we do not have a picture of God on the wall? Instead, we have the name Yud Ke Vav Ke. So let's come over here and see what we're talking about. This has been the third principle, and we got so far yesterday. I just want to reiterate the words of Maimonides, what the third principle of the 13 principles of Judaism are. I believe with perfect faith that God does not have a body. Physical concepts do not apply to him. There is nothing whatsoever that resembles him at all. He has no physicality. We can't say this looks like him or is a little bit like him. That's what the Rambam says. Now let me come over here, and we're in the Code of Jewish Law, which is written by the Rambam. And let's start over here on this one, number one. This is apparently chapter 1, verse 11, or chapter 11. I'm not sure exactly how he counts. Since God is not a body, nor any other kind of physical entity, it is obvious that nothing associated with the physical can apply to him. We cannot apply to him such concepts as combination and separation, position and size, up and down, right and left, back and front, sitting and standing. He likewise did not exist in time. And there are many who think that time was created as a part of the punishment to Adam Rishon because his life became limited. And once his life became limited, he wouldn't live forever. Then he has the problem of what to do with the space in between birth and death. Such concepts, beginning, end, and age, therefore do not apply to him. So beginning, end, and age, so therefore it doesn't apply. God furthermore does not change, since there is nothing that can cause him to change. We therefore cannot apply to him such concepts as life and death in a physical sense. We cannot use such terms as wisdom and foolishness in the same sense as we do when we're speaking about a human being. Such states as sleep and wakefulness, anger and laughter, joy and sadness do not apply to the Almighty at all. He does not keep quiet, nor does he speak as a person speaks. Our sages thus teach us. On high there is neither sitting nor standing, neither combination nor separation. 1:12. We must therefore realize that whenever the Torah or prophets speak about God, they do so in a metaphorical and allegorical manner. This is true of the expressions mentioned earlier. It is also true of such expressions as he who sits in the heavens shall laugh. They have provoked me to anger with their vanity. And as God rejoices regarding all such statements, our sages say that the Torah speaks in the language of man. God himself told his prophet Jeremiah Do they indeed provoke me to anger? Does that actually happen? Now, in Kabbalah, that you could see a lot more of these ideas, because the way that the light of God is transferred down into this bleak, oblique world here that we live in, maybe I should have word the word bleak world that we live in, a world with a tremendous amount of darkness, that it actually does get translated into what we call the three lines. Also, it's called in Kabbalah the maskala, the balance scale. So depending on what's going down on here is depending on what relationship we have with He who is up above. And the Aryeh says that what is exactly the word? From my body I can see God. It doesn't mean that God is a body. It means that He allows us to be able to use a physical representation to be able to talk about Him, because that's all we have. God told the prophet Malachi, I am God, I do not change. But if God would be happy at some times and angry at others, He would indeed change. It is therefore obvious that none of these states can apply to Him at all. He says, all these states only exist in physical beings living in this lowly, dark world. We dwell in houses of clay whose foundations are in the dust. God, however, is above all these things. The last one, 5 are in the category of the non-believer, one who admits that there is one master, but claims that he is physical or has a form. This is a mistake. This is Baruch Fleischman, and this has been the third of the 13 principles of Maimonides' Ani Ma'amin.